No, I'm just kidding. I think the Xlookup can be used in just about any profession that uses Excel. I'm going to use country names, but you could be using asset numbers, employee number, work order number, invoice number, PO number, claim number, order number. Anytime you have unique identifiers that you can look up from, this can probably save you a lot of time, a lot of copying and pasting if you can learn this simple formula. Okay, what we're looking at here is just a listing of countries. As you can see, we have the capital city, the World Happiness Index rank from 2019, the score from that index, and the 2019 GDP per capita. So what we've been tasked to do here is we have a listing of 6 countries, and I want to pull in this information for these 6 countries. So Xlookup is perfect for this. So the syntax of the Xlookup is essentially saying, hey, what do you want to look up? What column is that lookup value going to be found in? And then what do you want to bring back? What information do you want to bring back? These additional things here, everything you see in brackets when you're doing formulas, those are not required. So we'll ignore those for now, but they do have some value if you're kind of more of an advanced user. So let's go Xlookup. What are we looking up? We're looking up the country. I'm going to hit F4 3 times and watch this $ dance around. Boom, boom, boom. Hit comma. Where are we going to find this country name? Column A over here. So let's highlight that column, and I'll hit F4 to put these $ here, and I'll explain to you what these are in a minute. And what are we looking up? We're looking up the capital city. That's in column B. I'm not going to hit F4, no $. Let's close that out, hit enter, and there we go. We pulled in the capital city. So I can hit this bottom right corner of the cell, becomes a plus sign. I double click it, it drags it down, and there we go. We have our capital cities for every country. And what I can actually do in the same bottom right cell, if I drag it to the right, it's going to drag that formula to the right. And I can drag that down as well. So we have it completed here, but why did that work? So if I go to the right, you can see where I have these $. It locks in A as that value. So it's not leaving this column A here. It's not leaving column A here. So if I go to the right, this isn't moving, but this column is the column we're looking up from. Oh, no, I screwed up here. So this needs to be updated. This is pulling column D over here. We want column E. So that's as simple as doing that. Drag it down. So you can see where you go to the right where I had these $, the column A's, it doesn't leave column A because I locked in those columns. Where I don't have the $, it went from column B to C when I dragged it right. And when I went down, because I didn't have a $ before the 6, it goes to 7, 8, 9, 10. If I had a $ before the 6 and went down, it would just stay locked in at A6. So we'd be pulling in the capital of Finland, which as we all know is Helsinki, on all 6 lines. So let me show you what that Xlookup looks like when you're referencing a table. I'm a huge proponent of tables. They make it so much easier to audit these formulas and edit it and understand what you did when you come back to a file a month later. So I'm going to hold Control and hit T. We have a table. Boom. So I don't like the formatting it gives me, so I go up into this option and it kind of puts it back to where it was. So it's kind of a secret table. So let's name that table something that we would recognize. So country listing, that makes sense, right? So now let's go back and redo our Xlookups. Equals Xlookup. No change to this first part. We're still looking up A6. We're locking it in column A. So now I don't need to go over to the other tab because I can just reference the table and I start typing it and I hit tab, it fills it out for me. Open bracket and it gives me all the options, the columns in the table. So I want to look at the country because remember we're looking up where are we trying to find this country column. Close out that bracket and then what are we bringing back in? Reference that table again, country listing, open bracket. We're pulling in the capital city. Enter. Drag that down. So let's see what happens when I drag it over. Ooh, it doesn't work. And when it does that, it's dragging the lookup column over as well. So it's looking up Finland and capital city, and that's not a capital city, obviously, that's a country. So if I hit Control C, Control V, I can paste the formulas as is. See, there's no change. But here, instead of pulling in capital city, I start typing it, and there it is. I want to pull in the index ranking. Happiest country in the world, Finland. Good for them. And then let's pull in their GDP per capita. And let's drag that down. So as you can see here, it's a lot easier to look at the formula and see exactly what it's doing. Okay, it's looking from this table. It's looking at the country. It's pulling in the index rank. And let's say you need to change it later. And we want, instead of the GDP per capita, we want the world index, that happiness score. It's a simple change to this lookup part of the Xlookup, the column we're bringing back in. So now I want to pull in this column instead. So it's easier to go back, files you haven't looked at for a couple months and you're trying to re-audit or understand what you're doing. You can see exactly what it's doing, and it's easy to make those changes. So I'm a huge proponent. If you have data sets that you're going to be using a lot, go ahead, Control-T it, make it a table, and it makes using XLOOKUPs and SUMIFs and COUNTIFs and all those fun formulas, filters, and you name it. It makes it a lot easier, makes it a lot easier to understand. So there you go, XLOOKUPs. Cool, right?